I don't know. I just resonated with it. Felt like she was in my mind, I swear. I mean, technically she is, but like a lot of the things she said, and I'm like, that is exactly how I feel. No, that is exactly. So yeah, we got along like a house on fire. It was a great conversation. So I'm excited for you to hear it. It's a lot of good
Yeah,
nuggets in there.
I'm very excited. That's part of the reason I'm getting trying to get through these so quick is to get to that episode. Because yeah, Paige is awesome. She was in Virginia Beach and she's really cool. We've kept in touch since, and like we talked before she was on podcast
Mhm.
a couple seasons ago, season 4 maybe. And yeah, she's awesome. Like her content is really, really good. And yeah, she's
Legend.
definitely someone who very much is good with being herself, which is always inspiring because I feel like I'm just coming around to that, to like being myself, whatever the fuck that means. Just not
You've always,
expecting anything of myself, you know?
yeah,
Yeah.
not it. No, I feel you. It's like I feel, and yesterday I was feeling this like a lot even before the combo. Also, we can get out of here in a second. I just
No,
want to
we can talk for like 10 minutes and just like clip this off. Let's get into it. I'm gonna make sure my phone doesn't have an alarm. But yeah, go for it.
Yeah, sounds good. Yeah, like yesterday before we started recording the episode and like after the Patreon call, I was just feeling a lot. Like feeling, and I've been feeling a lot. I think that's sort of like a theme with all of us though, like with the video that you posted and everything. I just feel like I'm an imposter and I don't know how to be myself fully. Like I almost involuntarily am not myself, even though I want to be. It's like it's just not comfortable. And so I just end up defaulting to being this version of myself that I feel like is safe, but it feels so uncomfortable because I know it's not me anymore. And I feel like I'm living a lie. So that was kind of what I was feeling. And I was also like getting down on myself because I feel like I've been like shying away from responsibility. Like I've been I worded it as like playing the victim with playing the victim. Like I'll be playing the victim and then I'm like, I know that I'm the only one who can take control of my life, right? And yet it's like sometimes I just want to roll over and not. And yeah, but almost I can't avoid that responsibility. So as much as I want to try and run away, like the running away only prolongs that period of being down on myself. It like only prolongs that feeling. And so now I'm getting to this point where and Paige was saying this exact thing. She's like, I'm getting to this point where like I've I know that I locked myself in this dark room and I hold the key. And now I'm finally like, okay, well maybe I should leave. Like maybe it's time to, as much as I, can sit here and like mope around in my own shit, like in the shit spa. I could do that and there's nothing wrong with staying there, but like I don't have to. And like it's getting to the point where I'm like, okay, go do some shit. Like walk out of the dark room, lock the door, and fucking throw away the key. And probably eventually I'll be back because that's the nature of things, right? We go through cycles, but it's like really responsibility is simultaneously, I think, a blessing and a curse. It's like it's it's not just all sunshine and rainbows, and freedom isn't either, and neither is uncertainty. Like all of that includes the whole spectrum of emotions, and that's deeply uncomfortable. And I see why people run to certainty. I get it. Like I really get it. Oh my gosh, the temptation to run back. Wouldn't it be just easier if there really was a God and I just had to follow these rules? That doesn't exist either. So, yeah, it's like the only way you can have the most influence over your life is to sit in that space of uncertainty. And like, that's how you get the most out of your life. Otherwise, you're kind of just living on autopilot, but it's definitely not the easy route. It's the difficult but rewarding route to fucking take control of your life. And I don't know. And I'm also trying not to like look at the whole like mess I feel like I've made, or like all of the shit that I haven't been doing, and like I'm trying to not look at all of it at once, because that's when I get overwhelmed and I'm like I can't do anything. And so yeah, just learning to like take it literally moment by moment and be like, okay, well, the only way to deal with a mess is to just start cleaning it up, like piece by piece, little choice by choice. Like that's how change happens. It's not like this whole big thing that you have to figure out all at once. It's just like, okay, well, right now, what can I do? And so I feel like I need to narrow my focus back in on my day to day life, because I think I've been thinking too big picture, and it's like causing all these things to like fall to the wayside because I just don't see how they're important, but they end up being important because I end up getting consequences back. And I don't know. That's sort of just a ramble.
I followed the whole thing, and as we, extend out, like every time we extend out and think about, bigger picture stuff, it's like from time to time, yeah, it can be cool to do that or get into it, but like I'll exist there for a full day, It's like, what the fuck just happened? Like a whole morning. Like, what the fuck's going on? And I've been catching myself more and more as I do it and just laughing in response. Cause as you recognize like how much shit you've done throughout your life, and that's been hitting me more and more like so clearly and so obviously, and how much I've just kind of like avoided all of that and thought about myself differently. Like as much as that can feel super heavy, it's another way that I'm thinking about myself. It's another way. And so it's like Ray was saying yesterday or the day before, like as you stop judging yourself, how long can you go not thinking about how long you've judged yourself and judging yourself for that? Because that's the same exact thing, right? And it's just like, how long can you go without considering yourself so much and like actually being in reality? Because when I do experience those spots, it's like there's no weight. Things have a way of making sense. And it's like the things I was maybe putting off are just glaringly obvious to do, but there isn't like a weight with it so much anymore, as opposed to when I'm thinking about, ways to what should I do, what shouldn't I do, and expanding out like bigger picture stuff, everything gets super overwhelming. But then as I come back to like, oh, there's nothing to do, there's no right answer, there's no right next thing to do, and I fully like sit in that and sink into that. And as you were towards the end there, when I said I fell asleep, I had my eyes closed, and you were like saying something about how there's nothing to be, there's nothing to be, there's nothing to be, there's nothing to become, there's nothing to do. It was like my whole mind just went blank for a bit. And it was like, oh my God, it's just my expectations. So much of it is just my own expectations of myself that are getting involved in things. And like when it went blank, I was like, yeah, but it's not that. And then like all these thoughts started flooding through, but it was different. It was like they were all kind of just this noise. And then I can see that they're going to be there, but it's just if I don't pay attention to them, it's almost like they fuzz out a bit. And I can still, because I know that there's nothing to be and there's nothing to do and there's nothing to even expect of myself. And then it's like they don't have the same sort of pull so much. And then I can just get involved in what I'm doing, like I was going through this whole fucking this morning, like woke up and just feeling all different sorts of things. And all I wanted to do today was like, you know, edit as many videos as I could and get through that and do this yoga episode and listen to Do You Real and a little bit. And that was like my whole day. And yet I spent like a chunk. Well, I also want to do laundry. I also want to clean my room. I also wanted to blah, 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 all that stuff too. But like, that's all that I can do right now. And I sat there and just let the sort of expansion happen. And, there's so many ways that you can take that and nothing you can do about that right now. Like everything that you can do is, what's in front of you. And that's all you gotta ever actually pay attention to. And again, like check back in bigger picture maybe from time to time, but like for brief moments. And outside of that, like nothing to be, nothing to become, nothing to expect, nothing to hold yourself to, even besides just continuing to actually pay attention to what's going on. And things have a way of like just informing you and filling in the gaps. But I feel like, no, that's not enough. It can't just be paying attention. I have to figure out the right way to do things or how to pay attention. And like, nope.
Yeah. Oh God, that really hit what Ray shared too, of just like, how long can you go without like making another story when you realize you've been doing something? Because guilty, like I do that probably more often than I just sit in uncertainty, right? Because that temptation to like fucking understand who we are and what we're doing and where we're at and our progress is so like pervasive. And yeah, so it's like, oh, well, I realize I'm judging myself in this way, or like I'm avoiding myself. And it's like the judgment comes in the back door. So yeah, I love that. Just like it's not that because you're not what you always thought you are, that you're something else. It's just you're not that. Just you're not that. And zooming out into the big picture is helpful with recognizing that of like oh yeah, like this is all kind of just happening. Nobody really knows what's fucking going on. It's all uncertain. So of course there's no right way for me to be, but like almost zooming out can kind of be used in an avoidant way. At least I have. Like I've used that in my mind of like, oh, I have all of these things that I actually need to do. Like things that just make sense to do. And like we have a lot of things that we have to upkeep in our lives, I guess. Like it requires participation. And yet, like if I can like zoom out and be like, well, none of it really matters. There's no right way of being. And then I can use that as an avoidance mechanism. So it's like also checking yourself there too, of like, okay, come back down to earth. Like, yeah, you're everything, but you're also Jackie. Like, you're both. So it's not that you're not a human. Like, you're not, I know I'm not just Jackie, but I am Jackie and I'm responsible for her life and like her state of being. And she gets a little bit frazzled and overwhelmed when we're not, tending to our garden and taking care of ourselves. So it's such an interesting balance of like responsibility and surrender at the same time.
Oh yeah, because being like being everything and being, you know, human, it's like it very much which I am just realizing like comes around to yes, living for yourself, but like living for yourself right now. And that includes everything. Like you're taking in the fullness of reality right now and not whatever the fuck that means, but like taking responsibility for reality, and then like doing what you can with, Jackie or Andrew as almost like a tool in a sense to as you consider what's going on in reality. And so responsibility is for reality, but it's like through you, and there's only so much you can do. And so thinking about yourself is pretty much the thing that gets in the way. And then doing things for yourself, like being overly concerned with feeling better about things or being focused on yourself, then almost, I mean, not almost, like fully gets in the way. Like that's the thing that's irresponsible, is just thinking about yourself. But, in our world, we could get told that, you know, not being healthy is irresponsible. And it's like, in a sense, there's a balance, because if you're super unhealthy, it's like, what does that mean? Is it actually unhealthy, or is it like egotistically unhealthy? Because you can be super egotistical, like, lifting weights and building muscles to look good. It's like, that's not healthy necessarily. It's egotistically healthy, but it's actually unhealthy when you consider reality and the responsibility of reality. Because if you are trying to do things to make yourself more or above anything, then that's very much being irresponsible to reality. Like if you take in all the considerations about like being responsible for everyone, for the world, like what you can do for that, a lot of times that's just being yourself, in the sense of like being a goof, like being okay with messing up and failing. Because like if you're in a situation and people are uncomfortable, concerned, like basically the entire world, then someone messing up or failing is like makes everyone more comfortable in a sense. But we're afraid of that because it's like, I'm afraid of that because I've always been so important to me, but it's been the thing that's caused all the rifts in my life and all the suffering, is like just how important I am to me. And if I'm less important to me, then it's like, whew, then I don't have to have any expectations of me. And that's kind of like, I don't know, probably being more in flow with stuff when I'm just not expecting myself to be something or anything.
Yeah, that resonates a lot. Like, it's a very fine balance because you can't like forget about your earthly being and like not move your body, not like eat fruits and vegetables every once in a while. Like you still have to kind of upkeep yourself and like to some extent like prioritizing yourself as in like, taking moments of silence to like regulate yourself and like I don't know, just little things like that, like taking care of yourself so that you can not be of service to others, but like kind of like participate for like the well-being of the whole because you can't like pour from an empty cup, right? But at the same time, you can take that way too far and where you're only focusing on yourself and you're like, you're not, like you said, showing any vulnerability or like you're not doing anything out there in the world that benefits anybody other than yourself. And that's just like solidifying the division between us. And the division is what is creating all of our collective suffering. Whereas, like, if you kind of relax that a little bit and sort of like reside in this in between place of like, of, I like how you said, like, using yourself as like a tool or like, yeah, using yourself as a tool to like work towards reality's best good, which is also your best good, is allowing yourself to relax, take yourself a little bit less seriously, like not put so much pressure on yourself, not have such crazy high expectations. But then also that bleeds outward to everyone around you because you're that person they feel comfortable around. You're the person they can open up with, like you are making the world a little bit more lighthearted and open just by being lighthearted and open because you are the world. You are an integrated part of reality. And so, yeah, I think this will be a good place, I think, to wrap up today with this insight of, yeah, just trying to maintain this dynamic balance, right? Of I'm a person, but not just a person. Like I'm not just me. I'm not the idea of myself at all. So yeah, thank you, Andrew. This has been a great chat and yoga sesh, and looking forward to more. And for all the episodes coming out. Thanks for editing away. We very much appreciate it.
Yeah, no, I've been enjoying it, and I do think when you are being honest with yourself and doing things with reality in mind, it's like the rest does kind of take care of itself in a lot of ways, and then moment to moment, you don't have to expect things of yourself. Like I've had so many fucking expectations of myself to be certain ways throughout my life or not be certain ways throughout my life. And just not having those so much. Like I've almost been afraid to let those go. The certain things that, oh, can't act this way, can't do this thing, got to do this thing, got to act this way. But in moments when I am not holding on to those so much, it's like things have a way of sort of playing out, and whatever that means. Like I've been afraid that if I let them go, then I will fall into them almost. Like if I don't expect myself to not act a certain way, I'll start acting that way all the time. But it's actually letting go of that expectation of myself to be or do anything that I kind of find a balance with stuff. And at least I'm like relaxed as I
Mhm.
go. But yeah, yeah, a lot of that is just taking responsibility for your life, for yourself, like in all the ways that that means that, yeah, I'm I feel like a lot of me is just starting to get a feel for, but it's exciting because it's, yeah, enriching in a lot of ways, and there's far more fullness to life than when you're being a little bit less responsible, trying to just, you know, get what you want, do what you want, because those never do it for you. It never gratifies you in the way that you think it's gonna.
Yeah. It's surprising almost that like you don't have to try and be anything and you're still yourself. It's sort of like the same way that like you don't have to tell yourself that you matter or that you have influence to matter and have influence, because you can't escape that. Like the reality of you is still exists, and we can have faith in that as something that we can't understand or necessarily control, but that is intelligent and is part of this flow, and we don't have to worry so much. But yeah, it's so counterintuitive that like when you let go and just let yourself be, like it works out better than you could have orchestrated.
Sure. And that doesn't mean it's not going to be uncomfortable, because you might not even recognize yourself as much as you stop having expectations, almost like stop
No,
gaps between
I do not.
between yourself. Yeah, between yourself and what you always thought you should be. But, that's part of it. It's like growing pains, all that good stuff. But
Yeah.
this has been a blast. I appreciate the yoga time. I always look forward to it, and yeah, very much appreciate the conversation and the time, Jackie. Looking forward to the
All right.
next one.
Yeah, more episodes coming soon. Thanks to anybody who tuned in and practiced along with us. We love you, and we'll see you next time.
Bye, motherfuckers.
Bye, bitches.